Will Wesneski was nasty today, and the Astros had a chance to win a game which Logan Gilbert started. What happened? We'll talk about it on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Yainer Diaz, this is Locked On Astros.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett H-Town Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we update you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. Find me on X at Eric Talkstros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can they find you at?
They can find me at H-Town Wheelhouse on X, Instagram, and TikTok, at Stros411 on X and on Facebook and Instagram, and at Back to the Bullpen on Instagram, on X, on iHeartRadio and YouTube, where I'm always positive, always Stros.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to us, make us first listen. Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, go ahead and check us out. Just hit that little red button down there that says subscribe. It takes a second, and you'll make Brett and I very happy. And things are not doing very great over at the Huysman house right now. Yes, unfortunately, my Cougars lost in the championship game, and the way they lost was pretty pathetic. Let's just say that. But they did make it there. Only of all the teams that made it, they did make it that far. So I'm proud for the Cougars. But today's episode is sponsored by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. Brett, some bad news happened before the game. Spencer Arrighetti, he might be out for a little bit, so we'll have to talk about that. Astros tried to make another comeback today on 2 hits, but they tried to make a comeback. Christian Walker sort of came up clutch. It wasn't really a hit, but he drove in 2 runs.
Wait, hold on. You're diminishing his hit? It was a hit.
It was an error.
I don't see how it was an error, because there's no way he catches that ball. That shouldn't be
an error.
Well,
either way,
that's dumb. That's stupid, I think.
The bullpen imploded, and the Astros with with Arreghetti out for a while, you've got to go ahead and have the next man up mentality. And Hayden Wesneski, welcome to the Astros. Man, that guy pitched pretty good baseball today.
Yeah, he did. And he did everything that you need him to do. I mean, when you go out as a new pitcher and you give up 2 runs, 5 strikeouts, and you tie your career high outing of 7 innings pitched, there's no reason why you come out of that game losing, on the losing side. And it looked like the Astros were going to make a valiant effort, but we're going to stick with Hayden here. Eric, this was a great performance by Hayden. Again, 7 innings, 3 hits, only 2 earned runs, no walks, 5 strikeouts. He did give up the 1 home run, but the Astros erased that lead later on in the game. And so baseball sometimes is going to baseball, Eric. And sometimes, it's like Jimmy Fallon's uncle said in the movie Fever Pitch, watch out, kid. Baseball will break your heart. And tonight, it broke our hearts. It was just one of those things. When I'm looking at Hayden's outing, he threw 29 four-seamers, 17 sweepers, 15 cutters, 11 curveballs, 6 changeups, 4 sinkers. He induced 14 swings and misses, rivaled only by Logan Gilbert with 17 swings and misses. And even with those 17 swings and misses, the Astros still had a chance to win. Unfortunately, you couldn't keep the lame ducks down. The Mariners had just gotten swept by the Giants. Julio Rodriguez struck out in a big at-bat.
Yeah.
Then Jorge Polanco, who was he's their RBI leader, came up big in this game. And, that's how the cookie crumbles sometimes, right?
It's like Abreu came in pumped up to face J-Rod, and he had that 99 miles per hour fastball that was up in the zone, and J-Rod just kind of struck out on that. But then he just didn't have the same type of command, the same type of location against Polanco. But sometimes It's a matchup situation, a lefty situation there. But going back to Wesneski, he averaged 82.8 miles average exit velocity. He also, after giving up the home run, he gave up. He only needed 13 pitches to get the final 6 out. So he had a very good overall appearance today, and I was happy when Christian Walker got that RBI. No, he didn't get RBIs, but he got drove into 2 runs with the errors because it was going to give him the win. The kid deserved the win, and you would hope that the bullpen was able to hold on to this, but the Astros are where they are because they chose not to make any additions, like big additions to the bullpen. They traded Ryan Presley. They let a whole bunch of guys go, and then you traded. They had a lot more subtractions than they had additions. Yes, they added some pieces like Wesneski. You had Paredes. You had Cam Smith. You had some other guys come in, Christian Walker. But you also, in terms of the bullpen is a lot weaker than we've seen, and especially when you've had some poor performances by the starting pitchers, you're going to have to tap into that depth a little bit because your arms are going to get fatigued a little bit. And that's why you have Logan VanWey, who did not pitch in this game, but he's probably going to make his debut over the next couple of days. And that's why they brought him up, and Luis Contreras did go down.
Okay, so we had talked about that, thinking that he was going to be the one to go down. Now, I want to go back to the second batter that Taylor Scott faced, Miles Mastrobuoni. Okay, the very first pitch that he threw was in the strike zone, was called a ball. It was in the middle of the strike zone. The second pitch, I think if the first one's called a strike, the second one is called a strike. It was below the zone, but it was very close. If you're talking about no balls, 2 strikes, or 2 balls, no strikes, Taylor Scott attacks the next 2 pitches because he goes slider, splitter, then he goes four-seam fastball, and he just didn't seem to have control. If he strikes out Mastrobuoni, I think you have a different inning. I don't know that Julio Rodriguez even gets to the plate.
He had zero control in this game. He had no control of where it was going. It was I haven't seen him like that.
But like I'm saying, if that at bat goes differently, I think the other at bats go differently. You know, I remember being at a game where one of our minor league pitchers in Corpus that we had just interviewed. I watched him play in Corpus, and it was my son and I went a couple years ago. And we were watching him pitch, and I can't remember who it was, and he completely unraveled in like the 5th inning, and I couldn't believe what had happened to him. And so after the game, I asked him, and he's like, "Hold on, I'll talk to you in a second." He literally went through the tunnel to find the umpire, to tell the umpire like how his bad calls affected his game. And actually, it was Easterby. I don't know if you remember him, Jimmy Easterby.
Yeah.
And he came back and he said, when that umpire put me to 2-1 and then 3-1, it totally changed my approach. And then the next few at bats, I had to change my plan because I was trying to fit the situation, what was going on. And he said, that's why he said, had he called those 2, he said he called 3 strikes a ball. Had he changed that, I would have kept my same plan. He said, I promise you, I would have got out of that inning. Now, Taylor Scott has not been the best this year, but right now we are parsing hairs. We are splitting hairs. Parsing words. We are splitting hairs because it's the little things in this game that count. And those little things go a long way.
You basically just lost to the worst team in the division, the Mariners, who have a terrible lineup, and their pitching is great. Logan Gilbert, he had a no-hitter going until Jose Altuve silenced all the boos. I love that. I love it when all the fans are booing. Then Altuve hits a home run, and it was a no-doubter. And I love the fact that he's able to do that. And he played second base today, and he looked just like he always does. And so I'd like to get to see him play second base. I like to see him play left field because he looks like he's having fun out there. And that's what you want him to do. And you want to see players having fun out there. And when you see somebody like Yainer Diaz, we'll talk about him in a little bit. there is a reason why he's struggling right now. And Joe Spada kind of talked about that. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day.
That's right. FanDuel brings you our show today. The NBA playoffs are almost here. The Rockets are in the playoffs, and FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get into the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. You know, you'll love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking your favorite team or diving into player props. From three-pointers to steals to assists, heck, to an Amin Thompson 3-block game. FanDuel has so many ways to bet your favorite player props. I mean, if you would have had a player prop of Stephen Curry making less than three-pointers in a game, the last game that the Rockets played and finally won in Golden State, you would have won some money there. Plus, after the game tips off, you can even combine live prop bets into a same-game parlay for a chance to win big. So don't miss out and head to FanDuel.com today to claim your $250 in bonus bets today.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day, whether it's on YouTube. Go ahead, subscribe to us. Make us first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check us out. So we'll talk about Yainer Diaz in a little bit, but I do want to talk a little bit about Spencer Arrighetti. I know he didn't have his best start the other day. A little bit had to do with the fact that Altuve did mess up the transfer of the glove to the throwing hand to throw it to home plate or whatever the situation was. And that cost them the inning to be extended.
Right.
And then then Spencer Arrighetti just couldn't just get back into the groove of things that he had in the first 4 innings or 3 innings. But Spencer Arrighetti threw pretty good in the first game. He limited the Mets in that game. And the Astros were expecting a lot of great things. They named him the number 3 starter. So pitchers sometimes before the game, sometimes they go out there and shag some fly balls out there. But also they go out between starts and they play catch. This is something that pitchers do. And sometimes they don't always pay attention. And sometimes a freak injury happens where they get hit in the thumb by a line drive.
So hold on, Eric. You said sometimes they get hit in the – no, this is a very rare thing. They don't – this isn't –
sometimes.
I'm just saying. This is very rare. I know. But no, this doesn't happen. Not even sometimes. This is one of those ridiculous things.
It's a heat-seeking missile, basically.
My question is, who the hell was not watching and guarding the pitchers? Who fell down on the job? Now, I wasn't there. I didn't see it. But come on. You can't yell ball or duck or something. I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. 2 months, he's going to be out off a freaking line drive in BP.
Has that been confirmed?
I've heard, look, if it's a broken thumb, I mean, I don't know. I haven't heard an official, but I'm hearing people are speculating that he'll be out a couple months. I don't know. It's not his throwing hand. It is his glove hand. So that does hurt. Can you imagine taking a line drive with a glove and a broken thumb? I don't know how long he's going to be out. I just know that this is terrible. Like come on, man. Like what are we doing here? This is as bad as the last 30 seconds of the Cougars game tonight. It's just a bad night for Houston sports, you know? Just not fun to think about, because Spencer Arrighetti, I think he's on his way to having a really solid year. And I think despite the setback, he'll be there. Now, my question is, with Logan VanWey having played mostly as a starter when he was in Sugarland last year, going 9-1, is the reason why he's coming up to take Arreghetti's place, or is Ryan Gusto going to slide into that starting spot? Have we heard any speculation as to who they're going to position in that third spot when Arreghetti's spot rolls around?
Not yet, but I think that Gusto is doing very well in his role, and they like the long relievers, so I think Gusto is going to stay where he is. But you have some guys. You have was it Gordon? What's his first name? Colton or
Colton Gordon.
yeah, Colton Gordon. He could be a guy. You could also have AJ Blueball, the guys that are stretched out down in AAA. The problem is that VanWey is not really stretched out. I think that he was in a bullpen, and in fact, that the manager was said, "Hey, Logan, you're not going to get any innings this week," and he said, "Why? I normally get into a game at least 3 games during the week. Why am I not going to get any innings?" Well, because you're going to get some innings, hopefully, with the Astros and Seattle and maybe somewhere else. And so that's how he was told that he was going up to the big league. So I don't think that VanWey is going to be option for the rotation right now.
Okay.
But I think that Augusto could be the option, but he's been doing so well in the role. And so I think what they'll probably do is they'll have to bring up somebody anyway. And so they'll probably look at who's been doing pretty well in the starting rotation in AAA. Granted, it's a small sample size, but Gordon is on the 40-man roster. Blue Ball is not, so they would have to transfer somebody to the 60-day IL to open up another spot on the roster for Blue Ball. So Gordon could come up. So that's just my thoughts.
Yeah, so the Houston Astros, it's interesting. I know they want VanWey to – I mean, not VanWey. Everybody was wondering, why did they bring in Taylor Scott? He was the guy that has thrown the least amount of pitches in the last 3 days. Kurt has thrown 16 in the last 3 days. Taylor Scott has thrown 13. Brian Abreu was up to 15 the day before. So that's why Taylor Scott was in there. You had Montero with 39 the day before, Hader with 29, Brian King with 13, and Abreu with 15. So you're basically your only options. You're not going to bring in Gusto. He's thrown 42 pitches over the last 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
So you had to go with Kurt or Taylor Scott. Everybody's like, oh, Joe Espada made a horrible move bringing in Taylor Scott. Well, that was literally all he had to go in with. So that's why he went in there. He didn't have a choice. It wasn't strategy. It was, you got to go in. And when your command's not on, that doesn't help. That exacerbates the situation. So you just have to be aware of what's going on with this team. And look here, I'll show everybody what it looks like. Okay. MLB Press sends out these graphics, and they probably have it on MLB.com. You'll see where it says yesterday is in the white, and then the last 3 days is everything else. So you can see the last 3 days again. Taylor Scott, Ryan Gusto, VanWey, obviously, because he just got called up, and Kurt with 16. Everybody else, that's what they've pitched. So that's what the Astros are going off of. Who has thrown, who's in there. And when your bullpen, I mean, Taylor Scott was great last year. He was a reliable guy. Stephen Kurt's been phenomenal this year. So tomorrow night we'll have the next 2 games we'll have a better arsenal available to us. And the Astros can still win this series, Eric. They can win the series because they face 2 Luis Castillos, one a rookie, and Luis Castillo, the ace or the super pitcher. But we can handle Castillo as well.
Well, I don't know if Castillo is the Mariners ace anymore. I think Gilbert, or when healthy. Kirby,
he's one of their better pitchers, though. He is the veteran. He is Luis Castillo. Right. I mean, he's the guy that's got, what I'm saying is you've got the veteran and then you've got the rookie. So I think the Astros stand a good chance of winning the next 2 games. I'm not, I wouldn't throw the baby out with the bathwater. But after the break, we're going to have to talk about Yainer Diaz because, Eric, he looks absolutely lost at the plate. He looks like he doesn't know if he's swinging or not. He doesn't know what's coming at him. He is right now, it's in his head. And that's what it looks like. He's not dialed in. Last year, absolutely dialed in. Clutch. 3rd in Major League Baseball with runners in scoring position. I mean, the dude would just hit the ball. This year, he's not doing anything to start out. Hey, if you had on your bingo card Alex Bregman starting hot in a baseball season and Yainer Diaz being as cold as he is, I wouldn't have believed you. And Martin Maldonado having a home run already with the Padres, that was not on my bingo card either.
Well, to add on to that, Kyle Tucker and Alex Bregman were both named Players of the Week for their respective divisions.
They
So,
were.
the league. So, guys, we'll go and continue this discussion on the Locked On Astros podcast.
All right, guys, I know after a day like today, you're going to need a boost. You're going to need a pick-me-up. Well, listen to me closely. Justingredients.us is where it's at. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB at checkout for 20% off. I'm telling you, this puppy right here, this strawberry limeade pre-workout, look at it. It's just ingredients, no junk. I mean, the ingredients, I mean, it is unbelievable. It only has 4 grams of sugar, so you're not getting hyped up with false sugar highs or crashes. It's energy that's sustained. The Just Ingredients offers NSF certified line of protein powder, electrolytes, pre-workout, and creatine, all rigorously tested to ensure that they're free from substances banned by major athletic organizations. You know, in case you're trying to go get that $500 million college, almost said scholarship. I'm thinking college, $500 million contract like Vlad Guerrero Jr. did. Well, let me tell you, Bryce Harper, 2-time MVP, pushes this stuff and he loves it. I like it. It's clean and transparent. There's no artificial junk. Again, fueling performance. Whether you're recovering from a workout, you need energy or a boost after a day like today in Houston sports, the grass-fed whey protein and pre-workout deliver the results. Just go to justingredients.us and use the code LOCKEDONMLB for 20% off. That's a huge discount. And for more wellness tips, follow at just.ingredients on Instagram today.
Hey guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. Whether it's on YouTube, go ahead, subscribe to us, make us first listen, Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, go and check us out. And I've seen a lot of people in the comments say, well, the Astros need to send Taylor Scott down to AAA. Well, they can't. He does not have options. If they do that, they're going to have to DFA him. And the Astros still see some value in him. Yes, he struggled so far. Yes, he had a terrible spring training, but they still see some value in him. They're going to give him some time. And there's not that like they have a whole lot down in AAA. We do have some good news that Ort is going to make his first appearance pretty soon. And then also Ort is going to make his first rehab appearance on Tuesday.
Okay.
Forrest Whitley on Wednesday. And Lance McCullers is supposed to make his next start on Saturday. So we have some arms coming back, but they're not ready anytime soon. And a lot of people are like, well, maybe McCullers can come back and replace Arreghetti. The last time he pitched, he only threw 50 pitches, 1.2 innings. He's not ready to be stretched out to be a starter yet. So down the road, sure. But we need a starter right now. So the Astros are looking to maybe Gusto does get the start, but to find somebody that could do what he's been doing recently, be the mop-up guy, to be the guy that gets 3 shutout innings when you need it, that's hard to find. And so I think that's why you might see that. And Rafael Montero, he's looked good so far. He's been diamond and rough, and it just – I think that the bullpen has some good pieces, but you don't have like you've had in the past. You don't have those 3 guys that you'd be like, oh yeah, these
Right.
3 guys are going to lock it down. You have Hader and Abreu. Abreu kind of, I don't want to say let us down today, but it wasn't really his fault. But he came in bad situation.
I mean, look, that ball went off his leg. If he puts his glove there and catches it, we're not talking about 2-run scoring. We're not even talking about 1-run scoring. We're talking about him probably throwing the guy out at third. So I'm not blaming Abreu at all. That was a solid hit. It was a comebacker. It just literally careened off his leg and went into no man's land. That's why the 2-run scored. It wasn't because Altuve was in left or Myers has a jelly arm or whatever ticked off excuses we have about our lack of defense in the outfield. So there's that. But I really want to get to Yainer Diaz, Eric, because Yainer Diaz is just really having a season that, I mean, right now, 071, on-base percentage 133, slugging 071, and OPS 204.
He's 2 for 30.
2 for 30. I mean, this guy, this kid, we've met him. I talked to him this year before he went off to spring training. He felt good about his offseason. He felt strong. He felt like his defense had gotten better. He felt like his bat was still awake. And he was really ready to hard charge into baseball. And we know baseball is not what you do in the short moments and the small moments. It's what you do over a season. He just needs a good week at the plate. Now, here's my question. I know we got Caratini. I know we got Diaz. Some people are calling for Salazar in here. All I can say is this. Salazar, every time he's been up, Eric, every time he's been up, he's hit the ball.
Had a heck of a spring training too.
Exactly. At what time or how long because you're not going to replace him, right? But at what time do you bring up a third catcher to the major leagues to have Salazar in there to give Yainer Diaz? I'm not saying you replace him, but you give what Salazar maybe 2 out of 4 starts. Caratini can DH or, whatever. But I mean, do they even do that? I know right now, because that last at bat that he had, I was watching it and it was hard to watch because you could see it was almost like he was confused. Like he didn't really know if he was going to swing or not. He didn't know what was coming. It was like he just had too much going on in his head. And I think once he calms his headspace down, he'll start hitting. But
strike 2 was right down the middle, and then he swung at strike 3 that was way out of the zone. So yeah, he's not recognizing pitches. He's not really seeing the ball well. And Joe Espada said before the game, he said that Diaz is chasing. He's trying to do too much. He's getting in good hitters count. He's just has to make sure he stays in the zone and put his A swings on better pitches. So yeah, he's struggling right now. He's going to figure it out. I think that he's shown enough in his young career that he's going to figure it out. Sometimes these guys get off to slow starts, and I think the answer to your question about Salazar is going to be who's going to go down. And that person that may be going down would be Cam Smith at some point.
But, and that's right. And that I still don't think they're there yet with Cam Smith. But you know what, Eric? If I see another graphic from StatHead comparing Maldonado to freaking Diaz because he hit 1 home run in a Padres uniform, like it makes me want to break this pencil. It's infuriating. And Tej, I'm sorry. Yeah, okay, Maldi hit 1 home run. The way this offense is going, you can compare him to anybody, right? I mean, at the end of the day, that isn't the play. Maldonado being here wouldn't be any better. He wouldn't be any better throwing people out. He wouldn't be any better at the plate. Yeah, he's got the home run. Maldi, when he gets a hold of the ball, I always said this, when he gets a hold of the ball, he can absolutely crush a ball, right? And we know that. So can Yainer Diaz. So can Christian Walker. So can Isaac Paredes. So can Jose Altuve today, hitting a ball at basically center field. I mean, hitting that home run. Too bad no one was on base when he did that. But guys, these are the things we have to wade through. It's not about winning every single game. It's about getting the series. So what do? You focus on tomorrow. You focus on Tuesday and say, okay, we go after Tuesday's game. Eric, tell me, which of the Luis Castillos are we facing tomorrow? Oh, we are facing Luis M. Castillo. Is that the senior Castillo? Is that the guy that is the guy?
We have to know their middle names now. It's this is the older. No, this is younger guy because he looks kind of young.
Okay,
no, this is the older guy.
Yeah, it is.
They
put Luis M. Castillo because the other one is also Luis Castillo. Right. So look, I just, guys, pump the brakes on, like, seriously, don't talk about AJ Hinch. Don't talk about Mike Elias. Don't bring up Jeff Lunau. Don't tell me how cheap Crane is because Vladimir Guerrero is going to get paid until he's 40 in a ridiculous amount of look. All you can do is what you do. You can control what you control. The Astros go to the drawing board. They go look at what happened. Taylor Scott's got to fix something. Maybe Taylor Scott gets a sore shoulder. I'm telling you, I know phantom injuries are quote unquote outlawed, but they still happen. And Eric, I don't know if you saw this. Have you seen all the reporting that basically Major League Baseball Players Union is saying that they are basically preparing for a lockout
Oh yeah.
after this season,
Mhm.
which I think is short-sighted. I think it's a terrible play for baseball. I think the fans, look, I'm not siding with the owners, but these contracts are out of hand. Ohtani, out of hand. Vlad Guerrero Jr. out of hand. Juan Soto out of hand. They're going to bankrupt the game. It's just too top heavy. And someone's like, well, that's what the market gives them. Okay. Just give the players a bigger share of what the clubs make. I don't know. I think it's gonna be awful for baseball if they go to another labor stoppage and it's gonna be over money. So don't tell me, guys, it's not over money, because it's always about money.
I know a lot of people are saying, can we talk about Espada? And I mean, I'm not saying he's done a great job so far. I'm not saying that he's the perfect manager, but in this situation, you weren't going to bring in Hader. Like you said, you brought in a guy that hopefully bridged the gap until you got to Abreu. Abreu was going to be the closer. They were warming up Abreu in case you needed him to come in a situation like he did. You play with the cards you're dealt, and sometimes the cards you're dealt aren't they don't have Ryan Presley on them, and you don't have a guy that you can really count on like you could with Ryan Presley and that three-headed horse we had last year, even though at times it wasn't as great as we thought it would be. But I guess all we could do is look forward, just kind of have the next man up mentality, see who steps up, and see who's going to really become the next go-to guy in the bullpen, because so far it's been hard to find that guy. But that's all we got for this edition of the Locked On Astros podcast. Hopefully Spencer Arrighetti is not out for too long. Hopefully it's a short-term injury, but we'll talk about this and more on tomorrow's Locked On Astros podcast.
Go
Brett?
Stros. See?